Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Thursday, October 27th, 2016. My name is Rich, and joining me on this nearly Halloween weekend is Bijan. How are you making out?
I am hurting all over, man. Just every part of my body is in pain. Guess what I did, this weekend? I've been wanting to do rock climbing, and my best friend has just been flaking on me this whole time, so instead, I want my coworker to do jujitsu. And oh my god, this guy just beat the living crap out of me for 2 hours on jujitsu mat. He's just holding me down, and I'm just like, what did I do to you, dude? What did I do? Oh, man, I hurt.
So have you ever done it before? Is it your first time going?
Not first time, newbie. And it was very clear. He's a blue belt, and I very much am not. But it was fun. It was very fun learning different positions and everything like that. It's really a chess game. It's all mental, and it is physical, but a lot of mental stuff in it.
That's cool. So you think you're going to do it again?
Yeah, but, more of a easygoing class this time rather than my coworker just trying to murder me.
That sounds like probably a good idea. Yeah. So we got lots to talk about this week. We're going to do ANW2. We'll do episodes 7 and 8, basically wrap up boot camp. We'll talk about National Ninja League. We'll do the Titan of Texas Challenge, our video of the week, and we're going to take a look at the next matchup for Team Ninja Warrior College Madness. So we got a lot.
Yeah. And here we were thinking there was nothing to talk about after American Ninja Warrior, Yeah, there's always something to talk about.
Yeah, we had a couple of rough weeks there at the beginning, but now that we're ramping up for Team Ninja Warrior, and we've got National Ninja League going, there's tons to talk about.
Mm-hmm. So let's get right into it, because these next two episodes on the season 2 of American Ninja Warrior, episode 7, and especially episode 8, the end of the boot camp episode, I don't want to go right into it, but I kind of, in a way I really want to do, because that's probably what everybody wants us to talk about, because it is one of the most controversial moments in American Ninja Warrior history. And I just want to just right off the bat, if you want to go there, is what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, let's do it. So here's the thing, for those that haven't seen it, wrapping up the boot camp, they get down to having to decide, who's going to do the rope climbs, as they did in the previous episodes. And there's one guy who, oh man, why can't I think of his name?
Patrick Cusick.
Yeah, Patrick obviously did the worst out of his team. Clearly, there was no ifs, ands, and or buts about it. He did the worst on a couple of occasions. He did fine. I mean, overall, he did fine. He was not that bad. He had one major spill in the relay. And cost
but when
his
it
team.
matters, he costed his team the most dearly.
Bottom line, yeah, absolutely. There was no question that he was the reason that they lost the relay. So when it came time to nominate 2 people to do the rope climb, Patrick just wouldn't accept, basically, that he was the weakest person, and they were kind of trying to nudge him that way as nicely as they could. They're trying to suggest that, well, you did kind of, mess up and the other people hadn't, so are you willing to go? And he said no. And Evan Dollar, man, he got I was a fan anyway, but I am a huge fan now. I mean, in a way, it was obviously, I don't want to judge him too harshly for it, because I think it would be easy to kind of blame him as well for the whole debacle, but
I don't think many people are blaming him. Or, well, I can definitely see the mind frame of it, but I think it's pretty clear, or at least the show kind of made it very clear of who is to blame for the situation.
Yeah, I really liked that Evan was basically saying, look, I'll do it. If you won't do it, then I'll do it, and stepping up, because Patrick just basically asked for somebody else to step up and do it, because he knew he was going to fail. He didn't even complete the rope climb the last time he had to do it. And it was a really crappy, poor sportsman thing for him to even suggest it. And he even knew it, and he even said, Evan, I can't let you do that for me. And at that point, I was actually on board with him. I'm like, okay, I can see getting upset and realizing that you're going home and saying, you know what, I don't want to do it. And then realizing the situation and going, I guess I have to, because otherwise Evan's going to have to do it, and that's not fair.
Do you think he was sincere in that moment? Because I honestly didn't think he was. I didn't think he was in any. I can't even talk. I don't think he was sincere in that moment.
Maybe not. I don't think I've said this in the podcast before. I'm the worst judge of character you can possibly imagine. Like, I am really bad at that. So I totally would buy it. I would be like, oh, you see, the kid feels bad, and he doesn't want Evan to have to do it. But in the end, he did let him. So that's what matters in the end. If he had bowed back into it and said, you know what, I'll take the punishment and I'm going to not get a chance to go. Because I can see getting disappointed, but he shouldn't have let anybody else go. He knew, I don't care what he says, he knows he's not in the top 10. It's just foolish.
Yeah, it's really hard. It was a very hard thing to watch. And after this episode aired, it was just huge. It really split the fan base of American Ninja Warrior, like, by a lot. I didn't even really split it because I don't really think many people were defending him. It was just a very awkward and unfortunate situation based on the rules of the show. And I guess the producers got what they wanted because they did get drama, but it was kind of the wrong kind of drama, right? Like, you go into the finals just feeling icky about yourself, being like, this really isn't the team that should have been there. I think it makes it worse tenfold by the fact that the person that did go home as a result of this is one of the biggest fan favorites on the show at this point, which was Rich King. So it just made it so much worse because it was such a great guy that ended up going home because of the result of this. All around, it was just a very unfortunate situation. In some aspects, you kind of get the villain of the show, but that's really not what this show's about. Like, it's real, like, this is not the kind of show where you need a villain, because at the end of the day, they're all Team America. So it just makes the whole thing kind of icky. And I don't know. I remember I was very upset at this situation when it first came out. So it's hard for me to speak objectively because I very much do have a bias still, obviously, right? But I'm trying to think objectively. Like, at the end of the day, it is a situation where Evan Dollard did offer a way out for Patrick, but this came after like multiple minutes of just very awkward, as you said, subliminal conversations where they're trying to hint to this kid being like, look, you messed up, man. You got to go. Nobody else messed up. Like, out of the other two, like, Evan and Brian didn't mess up. So it's kind of obvious who needs to go up for this challenge. And the kid just didn't step up. How do you feel about this rule now that we've seen it play out? Do you still think objectively that every team should have chosen the people to climb the ropes? Or do you think it should have just been more of a stern thing of like the weakest team members that did the most poorly go up?
No, within the context of it, again, I'm going to defend it being a Survivor-like moment, because really it was almost like a gameplay, Big Brother Survivor-like moment where the kid's like, look, you know what? I'm not strong on the rope climb, although he still didn't even really admit that. You know what? If he thought he was good enough at the rope climb to be in the top 10,
it, right?
Yeah, like, it's a chance to prove yourself. Say, look, you know what? I deserve to go to Japan. Watch this. I'm going to do it this time. I was, distracted yesterday, whatever. And he didn't take the opportunity to actually prove his merit. So it's just, but like I said, with what they were trying to do that season, I actually think the rule made sense for them to choose it within the team and everything. So I do feel bad for Rich King not getting to go back. And I don't know if I explained it well enough for those that didn't watch it, but basically imagine someone failed the warp wall in the modern ANW and could get somebody else to run it for them the next time around so that they could move on to Vegas. Like, it's really kind of to that level.
And because of that, a fan favorite, like, I don't know, whoever, we'll say Grant McCartney, doesn't go on to the Vegas finals because of that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good comparison. So he was on the bubble. This person that's moving on can't get up the warped wall, so there's no reason to send them to Vegas because you know they're not going to be able to complete it. So it just didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was unfortunate, man. It was a really crappy way to end the boot camp part, but overall, I gotta say, actually going into this, I was shocked because I must say, episode 7, the episode before the final part of the boot camp, was an incredibly strong episode. And the reason it was so good, guys, is because they actually had really, really tough challenges on this episode. And that's one thing that I felt was severely lacking in the previous parts of the boot camps.
Yeah, I thought everything was good. I actually liked both episodes a lot. I thought they were both really strong.
I felt like episode 8 was just a relay, like the entire episode.
Yeah, whatever. The relay, I liked the relay. I thought it was good. Yeah, even with the drama and stuff, I don't like the results, but it was entertaining. I was actually glued to trying to figure out wow, is he really? And I thought Evan wasn't gonna win, and Evan wouldn't get to go because he had volunteered to do it. And then I was really
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Gunning for that too. That was a really nail biter. I thought, if Evan doesn't go, I am going to lose my mind. I was more upset about that than Rich getting bumped.
Yeah, honestly, could you imagine if Evan Dollard Evan Dollard barely made it, guys, but if Evan Dollard would have gone home because of this, oh man, that would have been rough.
Oh, that would have been bad. Actually, this time around, I liked the pressure challenges too. The swinging between the two poles on a rope. It was simple, but I thought it was a really good test of endurance and test of, rope skills and everything. As crazy as that might sound, I really like that one.
Yeah, it was impressive. More importantly for me, the punishment felt like a real punishment. I mean, the punishment for the team that failed it, which I think was the Blue Monkeys, right? That was rough.
I think it was the Red Dragons, weren't they the ones that still had 5?
Yeah, I was looking back. I'm like, no, it's a red team, dude. Guys, if you didn't see this, all the other ones, they're have to carry a few things. It's kind of weighted, but it's whatever. Down a hill, it's whatever. This one, they had to saw this gigantic tree log in different pieces with little tiny saws. I don't know if anybody that's done it knows this is not an easy task, and this is not going to take just a little bit of time. I felt so bad for these guys. Their forearms, their biceps, their grip strength, everything must have been taxed from this punishment. I mean, this was absolutely brutal compared to all the others.
Yeah, I'm sure they worked up some blisters and calluses and God knows what from trying to do it too. It was definitely the worst one, and it's 104 degrees out there on top of everything else.
Yeah, so I kind of like it actually because it does give some semblance of credibility towards the pressure challenge. It gave it some stakes. So I liked it, but man, compared to the other ones, that is brutal. But the other thing that I really liked about this episode is when we got to the relay, the parts of this a tree that was cut in different pieces, all these parts of the logs that they had to carry, they're all about 100 pounds. And I've carried these 100-pound logs and Spartans and stuff, guys. It is so ungodly heavy, and the way you have to carry them, it drains everything out of your arms. So I really appreciated the difficulty involved with this particular relay. Before I get into it, how do you feel about this, man? Did you get a sense for how difficult it was going to be with these logs and everything else with the relay?
Yeah, it definitely seemed it. And they're running with these things. They're not, there's a couple of them that walked a little bit, but for the most part, these guys are just running as fast as they can, holding these giant logs. I can't imagine how hard that was, especially to do that and then try to do the warped wall afterwards. That
a
must
salmon
have been...
ladder to then a warped wall, man. And the salmon ladder, I feel, is not shown enough, appreciated enough for the difficulty, because these logs drain everything instantly out of your forearms more than anything else, and your grip strength. And then you have to go into an obstacle that more than anything else taxes all of your arm, not just your biceps, but your forearms and your grip strength. I mean, that is rough, and it's a double salmon ladder, guys. So during that transition, you also get that spike of, just the gravity hitting it and having to hold on for your life. I mean, this was a really, really tough set of obstacles mixed with this particular added moment of the logs. So I really, really appreciated it. And you definitely see these guys were so incredibly winded and fatigued all over doing these obstacles. I really liked it. This is what was sorely missing in the previous ones. You really saw the strain on these competitors' faces.
Especially the ones that had to do it twice. Like, oh my God. Like,
oh yeah. Oh geez.
Oh, like Levi just killed it. He had the 2 fastest times having had to do it twice. Like, it doesn't even make sense that the second time he had to do it, he was still faster than everybody else.
Yeah, man. Levi's just amazing. I mean, I'm glad you get to finally see, like, Levi Muhlenberg and, just how incensed the Ninja Warrior crowd was about this guy back then,
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. He is really, really strong, really good. And Brian Orozco really stepped up in these episodes too, right? You got a good idea of how good he actually is.
Oh, yeah. Brian Orozco is always like the second-hand man over there. I think this season also got a really good sense of how good Brent Stephenson was back then. Or it's hard to say back then. He's still good. I don't want to say that. That's bad wording. But, even on his first showing, you see him do the salmon ladder, and he just flies through this thing. And this guy was still very much a novice with these types of obstacles. So you got a really good sense of his athletic ability back then.
Yeah, I'd like to see him. I imagine he's on Team Ninja Warrior again this year. I can't wait to see him do that again. I really feel like he's still got a lot left in the tank, and we haven't seen the end of him yet.
Yeah, I think he had a bad showing, but I think it was a lot of mental things that was going on. I think he's primed to have a really good resurgence. Yeah, so overall, now that boot camp's over, what's your overall feel of it? It sounds like you're still really positive about it. You like the whole Survivor theme and everything, right?
Yeah, for what it was, I really liked it. I thought it was entertaining. I didn't really take much issue with it. Like I said, I wouldn't replace what we have now, but looking back on it, it's actually fun to watch. It's different. It's certainly interesting. It kept me riveted. I looked forward to watching the episodes. No complaints whatsoever. I'm looking forward to seeing how they did in Japan.
Yeah. If there's one plus about it, you very much got a better sense of who these people were. It's kind of like the vignettes that we all like kind of love to hate on American Ninja Warrior. I mean, we really got to spend some time with these competitors and really started to care about them, right? Almost to the point where everybody lost their dang minds over one competitor making it on Team America that maybe shouldn't have been there, or at least should have fought his way to get there. With that said, I didn't like it because of its pacing from week to week. It was too slow. I think it gets a lot of hate looking back at it. However, I don't think it is as bad as perhaps I or other people maybe perceived it looking back. Rewatching it, I thought it was just, I guess, whatever. It's not super terrible. At the same time, I still don't think it's very good. I think it is barred or slimmed down way too much by a lot of filler. Maybe if these were 30-minute episodes rather than hour-long episodes, it would have been a much tighter package.
Yeah, it's a little tough to keep your interest when you have these shorter courses and they're showing, 10 to 15 people doing them, right? So it's a lot of repetitiveness, but actually I found it not too bad considering. I really expected it to drag on more than it did, but no, it was all right.
I think if they were to make it much like all of the obstacles much more difficult, made these guys like fight really, really hard and just kill themselves to get on this team, I think it would have had a much bigger impact. But as we know, looking back at it, the show evolved and it's changed, in my opinion, for the better.
All right, so moving on, we are going to take a look at the National Ninja League, which happened a couple weeks ago at the gym Alternate Routes. They jumped right into it this time with showing third place Tiana Weberly. I was a little confused on that. They said she didn't get. I could have sworn he said not low enough on the body prop, but looking at the next one, I believe it was that
she didn't cross the line.
Yeah, she didn't cross the line that was out a little bit from where she had gone down.
Just to paint a picture for everybody, it's a body prop, kind of like a wall, 2 walls that you got to go downwards. And off to the side of this is actually where she needed to dismount from it. But rather, she dismounted down below and just stepped up right on the flooring. So that's what the issue. She needed to kind of dismount off to the side.
Second place for the females was Megan Beatty, who was trying to transition from a rope obstacle and didn't quite make it, unfortunately. And moving on to our first place was, of course, we used to get, it was actually kind of repetitive last year. We saw her name a lot, but now we're really looking forward to it. Jessie Lebrec once again took first place. She blew past those other obstacles and ended up falling on, it's like a cannonball alley, but like with a really long swing, and she just couldn't quite get the distance to the third cannonball. It's just she had a missed swing, and then she spent a lot of energy trying to recover it, and unfortunately she wasn't quite able to make it.
She was on that cannonball for a very, very long time, and I think everybody knows, or at least just watching the show, you don't even need to try it, just watching the show, you can see just how difficult Cannonball Alley is, and she was on there for legit over 30 seconds hanging from that thing, and keeping her poise, trying to grab the one that she transitioned from before to reset. I mean, she showed a lot of poise and maturity from that, because most people would probably freak out trying to go very quickly on it. Props to her. She must have crazy grip strength.
Oh, yeah, you can see it. She's just insanely strong. And in the men's division, we had third place was Zach Day, a familiar name from last year, doing well once again. He fell on the flying bar. They actually had a really cool flying bar into a salmon ladder in this, which is actually where Drew Dreschel, who got second place, fell on the transition from the flying bar to the salmon ladder. What did you think of that obstacle?
I loved the transition. I mean, that is such a cool transition. In terms of Drew falling, it was just an unfortunate thing where sometimes when you get these transitions, the bar will hit right where those pegs are. And unfortunately, that's what happened with Drew. It's just a circumstance with these obstacles, it could happen to anybody. It was unfortunate. But yeah, in terms of just the design of this course, absolutely amazing. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, the overall course was really good. It had lots of great obstacles we could see. It was a strong and difficult course, too, because we actually only had one finisher from both divisions, and that was Nick Kostreski, who took first place. He was the only one that was able to do it. And in the little short interview segment afterwards, where Chris Wilczewski is talking to Drew, Drew says that's actually the second time Nick's beaten him, and that he really appreciates being humbled that way, that it helps him to keep focused and keep training.
Yeah, that's good, man. You never want to become too overconfident, And yeah, I want to see Nick more on American Ninja Warrior, because you can just tell this guy is incredibly strong with a lot of gifts.
Yeah, so we'll be watching out for Nick in the coming season. So overall, another great video. I really like he switched it up a little bit, having the interview with Drew at the end, which made it even a little more interesting. So check it out. We'll have a link in the description as always, and you can see some of these obstacles for yourself.
And Chris, fix your web stream, man. That stuff is rough.
Yeah. There were there were some lags there because they were doing a streaming video, unfortunately. Moving on, we had kind of a surprise, or at least a surprise to us. At the Texas State Fair, they had a Titan of Texas challenge, which was basically a short ninja obstacle course with lots of cash prizes, and it looks like ninjas from all over the country showed up for this one.
Everyone was there. Out of nowhere, my Facebook's blowing up from every Ninja Warrior possible in Texas at this fair, and I'm like, what is going on? How have I been sleeping on this? It's crazy, dude. I definitely see why people are there. I mean, that's $15K, man. That's some good money right there. But oh boy, like everyone was there, guys. Like, if you can think of your favorite Ninja Warrior, they were most likely at this competition.
Yeah, and a lot of them have videos too, so you can, we'll link it in the show notes. You can watch Daniel Gill, Kevin Bull, Joe Moravsky, Grant McCartney, Sean Bryan, that's the Papal Ninja, who actually took second place, all blasting through this course.
Jesse Graff, Drew
yeah.
Dreschel, all of them.
Yeah. There's just an insane, there's a big group photo. You can see all kinds of people there that you'd recognize. So Drew Dreschel ended up taking first for the men, and Barclay Stockett took first for the women. But did you get the impression? To me, I'm thinking they didn't expect people to blow through the course that fast. Do you know what I mean? It's like they were skipping the entire obstacles in a lot of places.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because there were some instances where guys just did like half an obstacle and just like made the dismount. I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess you can skip that. And yeah, they're breezing through it. I mean, a lot of people were doing it under 30 seconds. I was not expecting that. Was there a second part of the course? Because I only saw this one, like, it was only that one part, right? Where it was kind of like stage one.
Yeah, I think that was it. I mean, I didn't see anything else. So that means Drew won $15,000 for 21 seconds of work.
That must have been the easiest money he's ever gotten. He's like, wow. Yeah, I mean, I can't say that the course was too difficult. I didn't really see anything on that course that I can't particularly do. Sometimes I just, compare it to like what I can do and be like, well, if I can do it, then it's not too hard because I am quite a novice at this stuff. With that said, though, this is a competition about speed, and definitely, you have to be a certain level of Ninja Warrior to complete a course like this that quickly.
Yeah, Joe Moravsky got twisted just for a couple of seconds on the rings, and he thinks that's what made the difference, basically, that all it took was that little bit for him to lose it, that one or two steps on Drew to not get the first prize. So it's all about precision and efficiency of movement and just going as fast as you possibly can.
You have to imagine Texas Street Fair will do this again next year, and you have to imagine they're going to make it much more difficult, or at least much more fleshed out, because that's quite a large grand prize, and they can really make this quite a big event. Now that they've seen the commitment from the Ninja Warriors coming from all around the country to this competition, they can really make it a big thing.
Yeah, I guess it'll depend on whether Nissan wants to promote the Titan again next year, I guess.
Good point.
So like you said, the winner of the female division was Barclay Stockett. So I decided to look her up just to see if they had a video of her, because we had videos of all the other, a lot of the other fast times. And I didn't find that, but I found her Instagram, and there is a video, which we're going to make our video of the week. What's that?
Oh, nothing.
Oh. There was a video that we're going to call our video of the week, where she just killed it on the cliffhanger, like an unbelievably long cliffhanger that just blew me away. What did you think of it, Bijan?
Amazing, man. She goes almost the length of an entire gym doing this crazy cliffhanger with crazy UFO transitions and all this kind of stuff. I was in searing pain on my forearms and biceps just watching this video, but her technique was so precise. It's almost inhuman that somebody can have this kind of grip strength and arm strength to do a cliffhanger from what's the distance? You have to imagine this is way over 20 feet, right?
Oh yeah,
this is
definitely
it just keeps going and going. You're like, oh my god, how can she still keep her arms at a perfect L and just do this with such finesse? It's absolutely amazing.
They had to tell her to drop. She was still at the end, basically. She could have kept going. I wonder how far she could have went.
You want me to go to the other end now?
Just go back.
Yeah, man.
Amazing job.
Crazy good.
Yeah. So we'll link
what's
that.
Her name again?
I hope I'm saying it right. It's Barclay Stockett.
Barclay Stockett. Okay, we really need to keep an eye out for her. I really hope she's on Team Ninja Warrior, because I'm really interested in what she can do. I mean, she's really impressive, and we've gotten a small taste of her talents, but she seems like someone that's clearly been training for American Ninja Warrior for a very, very long time. She's very poised and comfortable on these obstacles. I really want to see her on the show, or at least Team Ninja Warrior, and get a good feel of what she can do when the pressure's on.
All right, and moving on to our final topic, it is the College Ninja Warrior TCU That's the Texas Christian University versus the University of Houston.
Man, I am expecting a one-sided shellacking in this one.
Yeah, you think so?
Let's break down these teams, and I'm really interested in your feeling for this one because, man, I feel like one team is stacked.
Okay, so Texas Christian University, TCU, has Nolan Smith, Alexander Paris, and Emma Becerra. Now, so we've got a member of the TCU Ultimate Frisbee Club, a rock climber and previous competitive gymnast, and national championship cheerleading team who works as a personal trainer.
So it's a lot like all the other teams. You know, they got a decent mix of different things. But I think their lack of training when it comes to obstacle courses might be their hindrance. With that said, they are incredibly athletic and they're well-rounded. It's not a team where they're just specialized in one talent, and that's one good thing about that team.
Yeah, I like the team. I'm gonna link their Instagrams and articles and stuff I could find. Emma actually competed on Battle Frog College Championship, so that's so she's got some obstacle experience. You can see Nolan doing some ninja obstacles and stuff. So it's not just the Ultimate Frisbee team. He's actually a lot more than I don't know why they don't have more there for him, but
okay.
They seem a lot stronger once you dig in a little more, and I don't know. I kind of like them as an underdog story in this one because I think you're probably right that in this matchup they would be the underdogs to the University of Houston because the other team does seem a little stacked.
I didn't say that. What are you talking about, man? Well, you can probably figure that out. Look at the other team. But I will say this. Keep an eye out for Emma because she did do Battle Frog. And if anybody doesn't know what Battle Frog is, it's a competition a lot similar to Spartan Race, Tough Mudder, all that stuff. And Battle Frog actually shares a lot of similar obstacles that are used on Team Ninja Warrior, and it's a race. So she might actually be the strongest member of her team when it comes to experience all these obstacles. I expect her to be incredibly fast, incredibly poised on a lot of these balance and lower base obstacles. I'm expecting a lot from her, and I think she's going to hold up her end of the bargain. Battle Frog's not an easy thing, and everything I've seen from her, she's talented.
All right, and looking at first, and one thing I didn't mention, because there's not really much to mention, I've been trying to kind of talk about the rivalries between the schools for each of these. I can't find anything on this. I don't see a rivalry between these schools, so if anybody has information on that, I'm certainly willing to share that out, but to me, it doesn't seem like there's actually a rivalry between these guys.
I'm sure they'll make one up.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
So the University of Houston's team, we've got, I'm going to butcher this name, I'm sorry, Mathis Owadi, also known as Kid, who I didn't really, it took me a minute, I knew that name. It was driving me absolutely crazy. Bijan will testify to this. I was spending all this time, like, I know that name. I know this name. And it turns out I've talked to him. That's why once I could see his face and I realized, wait a minute, I know that guy. That's Kid from all the way back to last year when I spoke to Andrew Lowe's and Kid in one of my first interviews, who is one of the co-founders of the Ninja channel on YouTube. So he is a diehard ANW fan, 6 years of training for American Ninja Warrior. And they've also got Haley Houston, NCAA pole vaulter, cheerleader for 12 years and trains in Muay Thai. And last is Zach Tomeo. Hope I'm saying that right as well. Member of University of Houston's club climbing wall crawlers. He works at the Ninja Gym Iron Sports and is planning to commission into the U.S. Air Force.
So, that sounds quite stacked. This might be my front runner for winning this whole competition. We still have to go through the other teams, but this definitely seems like the most impressive team that we've covered so far. I mean, you want to talk about well-rounded. I mean, there's a member of this team that can hit pretty much any obstacle, right? So if there's a team if there's a big part of the relay that deals with a lot of lower body, hey, there's a member for that. If there's one for upper body, there's a member for that. Not just that, the key to this team is that you have two competitors, both Kid and Zach Tomeo, who have experience, vast experience, years and years of experience training Ninja Warrior obstacles. It's such a difference maker, right? So I'm really expecting a lot from them. In Haley Houston, out of all of the accolades we've heard of in this competition, Haley Houston, NCAA pole vaulter. That's like Kevin Bull, I think, did something similar. It wasn't pole vaulting, but he did something like NCAA level. And just look at that guy. When you look at NCAA pole vaulting champions and everything, there are some women out there that you've seen become very famous. You need such incredible strength in your core, in your arms, and your legs, because it takes all of those, or the running, the holding your body up, and the arm strength of pulling yourself and throwing yourself over that bar. This is such a difficult thing to do. And if she's at NCAA level, she is legit. So expect a whole lot of strength from her, a whole lot of running speed from her, a lot of balance. I'm expecting her to just destroy this course. Plus, she trains Muay Thai, which means that she's got a really, really good understanding of her body. You expect her to be very headstrong, and she's a cheerleader for 12 years. Her balance is on point. I mean, it is ridiculous how stacked this... Like, if you want to talk about somebody where all of her athletic accolades throughout her entire life has brought her prime to the sport, I think it might be her this competition. I really hope she falls in love with the sport of Ninja Warrior, because I really want her to train for it and go on American Ninja Warrior, because I think she can do amazingly on it.
Wow, you really like this team, don't you? I wonder if Muay Thai is as hard as Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
So yeah, getting more and more hyped for the College Ninja Warrior. It's coming up fast, right? We only 1 month to go, and we'll get into the episodes. That's going to be lots of fun to cover. As soon as I figure out how to get Esquire Network in Canada again, that's going to be a fun battle.
Well, hey, they just came out with a trailer. Rich, I hope you link it in the show notes for everybody to watch. And I must say that trailer gives a much better feel for what this competition will be. You definitely get a good sense that these are really athletic people, and they're not just like a complete hot mess on all these obstacles. They're actually doing very well and like really giving it their all. I really found it, just from everything I saw, it's gonna be a really fun, like, stiff competition, and I'm really looking forward to it. It was hard from the show, from just on paper, getting invested in the show, but actually getting some short clips of the obstacles and of the competitors, I'm really starting to get excited for this.
Cool. I'm actually avoiding the clip, so if you send me the trailer, I'll link in the show notes, but I
Gonna go in fresh, huh?
Yeah, I hate like Team Ninja Warrior is the worst for spoiling stuff, right? If you see them going up the warped wall, I saw at least one girl going up the warped wall. I don't want to know what team she's on. I don't know. Like, that's just too many spoilers for me. I hate it.
Gotcha. Well, okay, that'll actually be nice, because we'll get a perspective of somebody that's just going in completely fresh. But if you do want to watch it, guys, if you're just like kind of on the fence, give this trailer a shot. I think might change your mind in getting excited for the show.
So that is it for this week. If you're listening to this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like the video, share it out. And if you're listening on iTunes, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on there as well. And if you'd like to reach out to us, you can reach us at rich@ninjapodcast.com, or we are at Ninja Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. And Bijan, how can they reach out to you?
Hit me up, guys, at Instagram and Twitter at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151.
All right, thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a great week.
Deuces, y'all. I was like, I messed that up halfway through.
There's something wrong here.